Hello everyone, I'm Anurag from News-Genix, and we have established this organization in July 2020 with my friend Mr. Devang Bajpai, and it is a online media and here we are with the Humanity Project, and here we are understanding the social cause with like-minded people around the globe. So here I invite Ms. Charisi Oedura, the Executive Director of Fight for the Dignity of African Women and Children, FDAWC. Welcome you, ma'am. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And yeah, I welcome Ms. Nishta Sen from Light and Life NGO. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, ma'am, can you tell about the FDAWC organization and how it is working? The bit introduction.
Yeah, sure. So, Fight for the Dignity of African Women was founded by a wonderful woman named Brigitte Gambu, and we are based in the UK, London. However, we work in France, Sierra Leone, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, Morocco, and also the Ivory Coast. So we are an international organisation. We have teams that work within those countries that help vulnerable women and children, families, flee from cultural abuse. So cultural abuse, you're from India, so we have our cultures. I'm West Indian, we have our cultures, so our traditions are good.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're harmful.
Yeah.
And the harmful culture side of it is rooted in poverty. So what that looks like and how that's exposed to families, it can be from child marriage, rape, domestic violence, murder of young children, disabled children. The list goes on. I'm not sure if you'll be surprised, but it's just horrific atrocities that are carried out on families. So we help vulnerable families escape those environments and we rebuild their lives. So we help women get counsel, time to heal. Sometimes they're sheltered in our safe houses. We provide training and income generation or activities for them to rebuild and be able to generate income, and basically provide healing for them and their families. We also do reconciliation work in regards to training the whole family set as to how cultural traditions are harmful. So, and we try to bring families back together because we don't want them to split. It's just, just the oppression of the culture affects them all. So we work with, our work is humongous, but it's very rewarding.
It's really great, ma'am. The initiative is very impactful and very inspiring for us, understanding this in this generation. And yeah, Ms. Nisha Sen, can you tell us about the Light and Life NGO?
First of all, hearing you, ma'am, is a wonderful opportunity for us and for the youth and for women like me here who are not very open in our own cultures and different nations. So it's like the same thing here, even culture here, it is suffocating us, but we need to stand above that. So thank you for this, ma'am. And about Light and Life, we started this in 2018 in my third year of graduation. This is based on animal welfare and nature welfare. So I started this as an opportunity to help the animals who are either wounded or left abandoned near or inside the college. So we took them to rescue operation shelters like Blue Cross. So that is how our operation started, and now we have extended it to even empowerment of society, including women and children. So yes, we are looking forward to hear from you.
So here are some few questions we want to ask with you, ma'am. can I like?
I'm sorry, there's some connection problems.
Okay, yeah. So like we have like few questions to ask. Like, can we like ask?
Yes, please
Yeah.
do so.
So so how are you tackling the issue of women and children abuse on ground?
My apologies. So on the ground,
Yeah.
what it looks like is like what I said in terms of eradicating cultural abuse. So because the root of it is poverty, it's a financial issue. So like I said, we're providing safe houses, shelter, food, clothing, and other essential items for families, even in the UK. Counselling, education for families, paying for schools, low-income families, and like I said, income generation. We have a team of, we are connected with churches and mosques or within those, so there's a hub within those communities, and we use that to outlet. That's how we get our referrals. That's how we find out about the women. And then we use those hubs, those people, those volunteers to go out and meet these people. Volunteers are trained, they're trained counsellors. They have all of the resources they need. We provide that financially to make sure the children are schooled, make sure the women are taken out of that situation, and making sure that the families as a unit are given counsel. So that's how we tackle it on the ground. So we're very hands-on, speaking with the families, letting them know that we are there for them, we are present. Very hands-on in terms of health, with these families that are in need. Some women are in really bad states, as you can imagine, of being raped or being violated. Just so much that they go through. Some women have already fled their family, their husbands, and just need help. And you know, sometimes it's very tragic. But what we do is try to be present, try to give them the help they need, and try to give them the support and be a hand in the terrible situation in life. And then as it progresses, it takes some time, but we do see the fruit of the work that we're doing. We see the fact that they begin to progress, they begin to get healing, they begin to find strength within themselves, they start to look for work, they start their own businesses, and their children are schooled so they feel happy, and they're clothed and they're fed. But like I said, a lot of this is, the root of it is poverty. So it's helping them in those obvious areas, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's great actually, like really inspiring us. And next question will be from Ms. Nashta Sen.
Yeah. So hearing these challenges which you are facing, but we would want to know more about the challenges when you take on these ground activities and when you're helping the families which are resistant and the women who are afraid to face the society and afraid to speak up for themselves. So how do you face those challenges, ma'am?
Those are the real challenges. You're absolutely right. So the reconciliation work in terms of, you know, being a voice for the woman in a family situation. So what we do, we meet up with the families. In some cases, some women, you know, some families are given away in child marriage. So the man has bought the child from an early age. You know, they might have bought a goat for the family or a cow or something like that. Or his family have bought the child, you know. That is a really difficult scenario to deal with, because we have to go and intercede with the man before the child gets married. And we have to say, you know what do you need to break this contract? So that's a financial cost, you know. Then we have to make sure that the child's in school. And then we have to deal, if it's extremely difficult when the whole entire family has bought that child, what the danger you can imagine for that child. when a family has bought them, you know, I can't even imagine the atrocities that can happen. So she's already married. There could be a 13-year-old girl marrying a 57-year-old man. That man, if he passes, the child gets passed on, or she could be a slave within the house. We have to take that child out of that danger. So we have to sometimes intercede with the families to say, look, release this child. And that is incredibly difficult because you're dealing with multiple personalities. Dealing with the women who are going through, some of these women are really brave, you know. Some of them can't speak out. They're on the phone or WhatsApp quietly looking for help. And we just encourage, as you would encourage a friend in a horrible situation. And then when they slowly get the confidence to leave that situation, we are there to make sure, especially in England, this is all over, in all of our countries, this is the same thing. We leave and we place them in shelter. So they have a place to go. So they're not just leave your husband or leave that situation and they've got we're here. You just make the step and we'll be there. And then we help that woman get the healing and the children get the healing and the resources to live, because they've left the situation and they have sometimes, like if you're in England, the husband might be from the UK, but the woman might be from Africa and they've brought her over. So she might not even have proper residence in England. Do you understand? So she's leaving a lot. So we have to make sure she gets the help that she needs from the British government as well. You know, so it's quite complex. As I'm speaking, there's a story that is different for each woman. You can't put it in a box. But the point is that we're present and we encourage women, you know, not to stay in that situation. And even if it's an immediate violation that's being taken place, call the police, you know, and we'll be there right with you. But don't continue to suffer. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely, ma'am.
Yeah. So, ma'am, like the next question is like, how is the situation regarding the same cause in the other countries where your branches are open? Like,
yeah, I mean, it varies from country to country, as you can imagine. There's different laws and different situations. So within the UK, you know, although we are quite structurally sound, there is situations like I just gave you the example of maybe a woman not having her visa here, so dealing with stuff like that. But then if you go to a country like Morocco where we're dealing with refugees. So they're not just fleeing war-torn countries like we're programmed. Sometimes they're just fleeing cultural abuse and they just go into another country. We have to be there to collect them and help them to get through. Sorry, my children, the time is really bad. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, so there's sometimes we have to be there as a refugee to bring them into the country and bring them shelter. So you can imagine they're coming off of boats with nowhere to go. One woman we were helping, just to give you a case scenario, she was pregnant and she had the baby when she arrived in Morocco. She had a newborn baby, nowhere to go. So we were there to house her, give her food, and she's a refugee. So there's a lot of dynamics around that. So she was fleeing cultural abuse. She was fleeing her husband. She left the country. So it is quite complex and different for each country.
Ma'am, that's a huge message that women are there to support each other. And this would spread the message that we are not alone. And if we fight together, we can actually even tackle these issues nation to nation. So yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so any other message you want to share from your side for the youth or the...
I would say from my side for the youth, I love the youth. Unfortunately, I'm not a youth anymore. Can't put myself in that category, but there's an energy that you have when you're young. You know, you don't have children interrupting Zoom calls. You know, you're free. And that energy and that mind, that good recklessness, meaning you're free, is powerful. And with technology that we have today, you have a voice, you have a platform, you have the power to galvanize and bring communities together for the same cause. You can create movements. And that's what I love, what I'm seeing today, because young people are affecting change in high government, in government, just because of a hashtag, you know, because they've galvanized enough support that change is happening immediately. In my day, that was unfathomable. That would never happen. Like change in government within days, within weeks. We'd wait years and years and years. And that's what I want to encourage the young people to use their voice, use their platform, and don't be afraid. Use it and be bold, because there are more people that believe the same thing you believe. And you will find them quickly on using technology and the platforms we have today, such as social media. I also want to say, because I know countries such as, continents such as Africa, countries like India, and we have cultures, like I said to you, our culture is different than the West. But sometimes you need to recognize what is wrong. And that, not, you know, because our family do it, it's okay. I'm not painting everybody with the same brush. You turn a blind eye because we've been doing it for years, and mum said, you know, it's okay, this is what we do. Wrong is wrong. When it violates a human person, a human individual, it's wrong. When it breaks a person down, it's wrong. And it's up to us to do something about it. We can't turn a blind eye. So that's my message to the youth. Don't turn a blind eye, use your voice and engage, and you'll change the world in seconds.
Yes, definitely. Hence, we are starting up this, and we are looking forward to more such individuals. And so next thing is, after this incident happens, I feel the society is not exactly how it was supposed to be with the victim. They even do victim shaming, and the brutality which they faced during the incident and after the incident is not at all different. It's like before it was physical, now it is mental pressure and mental
That's right.
torture. So I feel that is a very big thing which should be talked about, because not only the incident, the brutality, they are facing so much outside because their career has stopped, because society has stopped accepting them. There are problems in marriages. There are problems in the family itself. So what is your stand and what is your take on this, ma'am? If you are starting on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you take a rape, any victim, domestic violence, rape, somebody who's lost their child, you know, some people lose children because of culture as well, murder within villages and stuff like that. And with you, you think it's the right thing, or you have to withstand and you have to keep quiet about it. And it's not, you know, and it's really hard to find support, especially in the case of cultural abuse, as just like you said, the family are usually a part of it. But there is support out there, you know, there are charities like us and more, small charities, larger charities that do give support to victims and help them understand that they're not alone. Dealing with it by yourself can take a toll, just like you said, on your mental and physical health. Because if you're, sometimes when your mental health is affected, it can affect you physically. You know, we have women that unfortunately have developed cancer. Some women have died because of the stress, the mental stress. So the women we've helped often tell us they wish they knew about us sooner. And that's very sad. But like I said, there are many organizations out there that can help you, that are quiet, that are silent, that understand your cause and that are working at that. So what I would say is, if you have access to technology, use Google, and look, you know, in a safe environment. you know. If you have someone you can trust, like I said earlier, a lot of our referrals come from religious places like churches and mosques. I mean, obviously you've got to be wise. You can't just, you know, speak to the lead of the church, the pastor, the imam. You know, you don't know who they know. But if you do feel there's someone in the church or in the mosque or in that religious place that you can trust, tell them, you know, and they're more likely to be willing to help. They might know somebody that can help you. There are people out there that are willing to help women or men and women in these situations, families in these situations. But it is extremely difficult, but you do not have to deal with it yourself. Yeah, that's what I'd say to that. It's tough, but there are other organisations and people that are helping women and going through abuse every day. So reach out.
Yes, and I feel it is responsibility of us, youth, and everyone around us to spread this awareness, because she said she wished she knew earlier about you. So that is a very strong point which we can focus on, and we can spread more awareness about such organizations and such support from men and women around them. So yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Like I said, we need your voice. We need platforms like News-Genix. You know, you're new, but you're galvanizing. You have a mind for change. You deal with issues that matter. And I'm grateful that you have given us a platform to show the work that we are doing. So thank you for what you are doing, and keep it up. Please be loud, be bold.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sorry, it's my pleasure to having you here on this awareness to the youth, and it is very essential topic as well for this generation. Understanding this crucial topic on women and child abuse rights, and let us unite together to make a change in this society and this world. Yeah. So, ma'am, my next question is during this pandemic, how are you handling these activities and all this?
Yeah, COVID changed everything. Like, we had the method that we're telling you, like how we help women, had to change because the needs were different. So it immediately, because it's so big, I don't know where to start. Okay, so when COVID first started in March for us in England, when we first started to do promotion and lockdown around early March in this country, what we were finding was a few issues. Number one, lack of understanding from families of how it can affect, because remember, you know, there was fear and scare tactics. We had members, like husbands, throwing their wives out the house because they were showing symptoms, you know, throwing their wives and their children out the house because they were showing symptoms. So if we had to house them and find places to live for these families, financially, obviously, and we're all going to feel it because this is the situation that hasn't gone away, is that we provide care packages that have food, that have clothing, that have that have food, that have clothing, that have cleaning essentials and school supplies, because families cannot afford, people are losing their jobs and families can't afford food right now. And that's how it's been since March, because people lost their jobs immediately, can't afford food, can't wait for a government check. So they had to reach out to us. So our model has changed, because we were like, let's help everybody, bring them in, let's provide counselling support. We're still doing that, but another layer is now care packages where we're providing food. So you saw on the social media what we were doing with the Ivory Coast. That's what we're doing in the UK. The same thing. So it's not because they're from the village or they're from a certain poor socio-economic environment. And again, this is happening over here. where we're supposed to be, doing well. So it is a situation, it's a problem, and unfortunately, it's going to be ongoing. So we're trying to find a model that works in terms of child sponsorship, family sponsorship, women sponsorship, so we can get revenue to come in, so we can help the women that are being abused, but at the same time use our finances and our resources to provide for food for these families. And currently, when we started in March, we were supporting with care packages 40 families. Now it's gone into hundreds, and you can imagine the toll, as well as doing what we usually do. So we're a small organization, very small, but somehow we're making it work. But we do need help. So resources, that's our challenge at the moment, resources, because the uptake of our services is so huge. The help, people need help everywhere.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So like my next question is about like let us understand the similar issues between the nations, like at your place and at our country and all. Like, so shall I start with the rates, like the statistics? So the rape is the like fourth most common crime against women in India, and the stat states that there are like 33,356 rape cases are like still as per the records. And if we see the 53% of children in India like face some of the like child sexual abuse, and it really like affects the mental health and psychological uh, like the health issues in the like child. And I think, ma'am, like we have to like control this like from the beginning itself, like yeah, like how yeah.
So I would like to continue with this. Basically, the child sexual abuse cases, all these are the roots where they are not made aware, which is a bad touch, which is a good touch, and where they have to tell the person to stop. Because right now, at this age where child is just 5 or 6, they don't know how to respond to things. They don't know what to tell and how to react. They will be quiet. So it's better if we teach them. And in schools also, there should be curriculum where they teach about the good touch, the bad touch, and the abuse if they face, how they have to speak up. Even the school should have such counselors and such agencies supported, collaborated with them. So it's like, it's not just in villages, but in urban cities as well, where they feel ashamed of speaking up. So yeah, that has to be taken care of, I feel.
I would agree with that. It's so horrible to have to even think that you have to teach babies about good touch and bad touch. Like, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do this in school? They shouldn't even be exposed to things like that. So it's heartbreaking. But, unfortunately, with the statistics, it's necessary. I would even go as far as training the families, the parents, because sometimes it is cultural, but then nobody wants their daughter or their son touched. Nobody, So I feel like it's important to train the mothers, train the fathers on what this is happening, when you leave the child with the uncle, you leave the child on their own to play, to be more vigilant, and that this can happen to your child, because the statistics are huge. I personally know someone who's been raped in India, so, and it's atrocious. I would also say this is where the voice of the young people do have to speak up. I think when I was first looking into FDAWC, whether I was going to get involved, one of the stories that struck me the most, and unfortunately it's common, was a 5-year-old who was raped by an old man. and she was left paralyzed. I think it was in Uganda. And I found out about it because of social media, because of the outcry. And as a result of telling that young baby's story, they changed laws in Uganda. Now, obviously, the laws need to be implemented. That's stage one, is changing the laws. Stage two is implementation and training, what you're speaking about. But the voice of the youth shone a light on it, that international outcry. You can't deny it now. You know, what are you doing about this? And that's where it's important. But yes, on the ground level, on the practical level, the training in the schools. And then there's the next layer, which is the support for the victims. That needs to be there as well, which I'm sure it is there in India. You know, making sure that support gets the support too. But in terms of prevention, like I said, rape of these young babies is, of any woman or man, is horrific, and training and exposure has to be done. It's horrible to bring shame to the situation, to a specific country or region, like this is what's happening in our country. But if you don't expose it, you know, as an African woman, you know, my roots are African. I do not like to say African culture abuse, but it is African cultural abuse. It is. I don't like to put a title on something that affects me and my roots and the people that I love, but it's going on. If we don't say it for what it is, how are people going to know? Sometimes you have to say it for what it is. So if there's an epidemic of rape happening in India, it's horrible to admit it, but you have to admit it to stop it. You can't keep covering it up. You have to expose it. Then you can deal with it. And that's the point. Some people don't expose these things because they're fearful of how it's going to look on them. The same as the victim. They're fearful if they say anything, they're going to be treated and looked a certain way. As society as a whole, that's the same thing. If we say we've got an epidemic of rape in our country, how are we going to be viewed? You have to speak it, otherwise it won't change. And yeah, that's my thought on it. Just tell it for what it is, say it for what it is, as ugly as for what it is, until there's change.
Yes, ma'am. It's like a shadow pandemic going on with the COVID pandemic. Domestic violence, abuse, childs are getting sex trafficked for working, the money. So yes, we have to face it before we can change it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Every issue, and like I said, it's a lot of it is rooted in poverty as well. So we have to deal with that aspect of it. How do we support the families so they don't need to be doing this, selling their children and trafficking their children? Or when a foreigner comes to the village in the hills, and they're saying, you know, we'll give your child a job in Dubai or some rubbish, or in another country, and they say yes if it's going to better. Some families just don't know. It's not that they're horrible, they just don't know. Oh, you're going to better my child's life and better our lives, and little do they know they've given their child away to become a slave in someone's house in the UK, or raped every day in Dubai. You know, just like you said with the sex trafficking, is if there's a way to deal with poverty or create awareness in the rural regions of India, of Nepal, of Pakistan, in these areas where they come and take these beautiful girls and then they take them to another country and they become slaves. You know, if we can do something about the poverty, that's a big issue. But at least train the families to say, these men are coming into, don't let them come and take your children. You know?
Yes, ma'am. Like, yeah, it is very hard to like to take on to the heart. Like, but this is going on uh, uh, in this generation. Like, it is very like difficult to accept to the heart, and I think like, ma'am, we have to like share some like ideas and some solutions. Like, how can we like control these things actually? Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Don't we have to share some solutions, and you know, we can like partner in with Light and Life, partnering with other organizations. Partnership is good. So it fills in the gaps where even if it's just information, you know, that fills in a gap. Like, you're teaching me, I'm teaching you, and we can implement these things, even from that small basis, let alone a larger campaign. You know, there's ways to partner and make some noise and create awareness about what's going on, you know, so we should look at that. Also, yeah, like I said, don't let your voice as a young person, because you've got all these old men in in government, and you feel like they've not done anything all these years. I don't, you know, is this it? No. You use your voice. Your voice as a young person is more powerful than theirs. So you make sure you do not hide. Make sure you use your voice.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I want to like tell something to the world and the society, and as a man, like whatever role the man plays, like as a father, brother, or any a friend or a male colleague or a son itself. So we need to like stand for the woman and support like a structure, and we need to enjoy their success, women's success. And that point I want to like tell to the youth and the society for a change. Yeah.
That
That
pleases
is
my heart so much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I'm always.
it's okay. Okay, yeah. So I feel that is a very beautiful point, Anurag. And if so many men like you start thinking this, and not only thinking, start implementing this, supporting their female friends, I guess that is more than enough for us to speak something or start something like this, or just share what we feel. Because even small incidents, if we share with our male friends, father, or colleague, and if they're supporting us, we won't hide anymore and we will feel supported. So yeah, that is very important. Thank you so much for sharing that point.
Absolutely, Anurag. That pleased my heart so much what you said. You know, we need more like you. I don't really want me to say anything further, but that's what we need from the heart, genuine. Stand with us, you know, stand with us. And if a man sees another man standing with women, he feels it inside, but he doesn't have the courage, he will see you and be inspired. So stand with us.
Sure. Like we will make a change in the society. We will. Yeah.
So I would like to conclude this. And it was a wonderful opportunity, ma'am and Anurag, to have you both here. And this whole project of the humanity as a series of digital campaigns, or just small videos which can bring even a small change in the minds of the youth, I'm sure it will make a big change tomorrow. And even if one female or woman or man is not safe, we cannot say our country is safe, and we need to work on that. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you for having me and giving me a platform. Both of you, News-Genix, Light and Life, and whenever, if there's anything you need from us, we are here for you both, to your organisations. So keep on, keep being a light, and a light for change.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah. It's my pleasure like to having you both on the dais, like for like inspiring the youth and for a cause actually. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.